We are live. We are all so direct with Kimberly Frey in the cyber building, who is empowering neurodivergent adults and creators to release the shackles and step into strategies that align with their mode of thinking. She's also a speaker, podcaster stepping on to different platforms and really helping deep creatives navigate their way through mid-career crises, giving them the tools and strategies they need to function to their best, to thrive and not just survive. In the building, Kimberly Frey, she sells London to Chicago with love. Speak to me, sister.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me here. Happy Monday. Right. New week, new possibilities.
New week, good possibilities to infinity and beyond. But anyway, let me know. I know we touched upon the neurodivergent. Maybe could you dig into what that specifically means in terms of people who think in that sort of way?
For sure. So somebody who's neurodivergent, that means that traditionally, they have a diagnosis from a medical provider, a psychiatrist, but there are a lot of adults lately that have realized that they are neurodivergent that haven't necessarily gone through like an official diagnosis phase. But when you are neurodivergent, there are a multitude of kind of these invisible disabilities that fall under that umbrella. The two primary ones that people think of are people who are autistic and people who have ADHD. So there are definitely more that fall underneath their learning disabilities, OCD, there are plenty that fall under there, but those are the two primary ones, especially right now when people are saying like, I'm a neurodivergent adult. They usually mean that they've either been diagnosed with ADHD or autism.
Yeah. In fact, my cousin here in the UK, she's got her own charity, ADHD Babes.
Nice.
Yeah, and she's helping people to navigate that in the UK actually. And she's
That's
writing a book.
awesome.
She's writing a book on it.
Oh, nice.
And things like this. So let me know what, in terms of the people that come your way, are they mostly autistic or on ADHD? Like, where are they mainly in terms of the people that come to you or who you work with?
Yeah, my client base is I would say it's roughly almost split evenly between folks who are ADHD, folks who have autism, and then I have like a small percentage of folks who would fall under that neurotypical. So maybe like 10% of my clients, 15% of my clients would fall under that neurotypical banner. And then the remaining is split fairly evenly at most times between either somebody who is autistic or someone who has ADHD.
Okay, and how do you connect with these people? Like, do you do workshops or like, because it's not your typical, I'm targeting spiritual coaches and like, but so do you do Facebook groups? How do you get visible to connect with these people?
I do several different things. So I do have my own weekly podcast called You Can Do It. And so people find me through that often. I also, about once a quarter or so, I have a free webinar, and it's always going to be like on a topic that's pretty relevant for something that a neurodivergent adult would be struggling with. One of the most popular ones I do is on communication in the workplace, like being able to more effectively communicate. And then I also do in-person, like free in-person workshops. That one tends to bring in a lot of people because I call it Meet and Onboard the CEO of Your Brain. And so with that one, we really do talk about like what a neurodivergent diagnosis means, how does that actually impact your brain. So it's really like a intro one-on-one, which not just neurodivergent folks come to, but I also have like neurotypical folks that come that are wanting to learn more about neurodivergence. So we end up getting a good mix at those events for sure.
Okay, and do you have like you got one-on-one coaching? I saw on your website, that type of thing?
Yeah, so I do primarily one-on-one coaching when I'm working with adults, and I do like a free strategy session, which is a super useful tool for people because it costs them nothing. They hop on a call with me, and it's literally a free mini coaching session, and so we can work through whatever their most pressing like question or issue is, and then it's a great way for for us to see what it would look like working together and then we go from there to figure out like what kind of path we would like to go down.
Amazing. Well said. Typically, let's touch upon the ADHD.
Mhm.
What types of symptoms are people coming to you with in terms of, hey, look, this is not working, and how do you navigate these types of entrepreneurs through their challenges?
Sure. So that, and usually what tends to happen for me is I have somebody that's having a hard time navigating, I call it the big three. So their planning skills, their organization skills, or their prioritization skills.
Okay.
Sometimes all three of them, right? So it becomes they've really struggled with like, I know what I'm supposed to do, can't get it done. I miss deadlines. I can't stay organized. I've had clients that have come to me because they actually kind of had like a negative review at work and they got in trouble and they're like, I need some support because I'm messing up in my job.
All right.
So that's primarily what tends to happen, either that or somebody gets a diagnosis and they realize, oh, I need to kind of now learn what that means for me because now that I have a name for why I've been struggling so much, how can I, help myself to not struggle as much. I tend to get a lot of referrals from therapists as well.
Okay.
So they've been working with a client. Maybe that client gets a diagnosis during their time together. And so then the therapist would be like, I love the work that we've been doing in therapy, kind of working through trauma and healing from the past. I think you need a coach that's going to help you with strategies to move forward. So,
Okay. And how specifically do your strategies help people who are
mhm.
suffering? Yeah.
So I think I give people strategies. It is very customized. So we'll start with that. I come from the world of education. So I taught special education for over 20 years and I taught students who were neurodivergent. And so I have like this wealth of research and strategies that support the work that I do. So it's really easy for me to like sit with the client, figure out what they're struggling with and say, "Oh, let's try a couple of these things." I think one of the biggest eye-opening moments sometimes for my clients is talking about like large projects or
Mhm.
really hard tasks. And um, there's a lot of advice that's been spread around the business world, like you got to jump in and tackle that hardest thing first and just get it out of the way, get it off your plate, and then you can clear your plate for the rest of your things. Which is great advice for maybe a neurotypical person. It is horrible advice for somebody who is neurodivergent because the brain operates more on that dopamine, that good feeling. And if you're struggling when you come in, here it is Monday morning, right? If you're struggling on Monday morning just to even get to work, and now you have the hardest task of your day sitting in your face, your dopamine is already low because it's Monday. Your
Mhm.
dopamine isn't getting any hits because this is hard and it's frustrating. And so
Mhm.
then it's like, horrible trying to get through it. So, one of the big shifts that I work with my clients is figure out what are the easy things you can get done first that's going to give you a quick win because those quick wins give you that dopamine boost that you
Yes.
actually need to then be motivated to get that bigger thing done. And just like little shifts like that, people are like, never thought of that. Right, because the advice that you've been given has been for a neurotypical brain.
Okay. No, 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 that makes sense. Um, how are you selling your? I know you offer the call and things like this, but do you do events and like, what's your sales process like in terms of enrolling clients?
It is a handful of things. So whenever I do a free event, I talk about my services at the end of event, what it looks like to work with me, and I have the information for clients to kind of or potential clients to sign up for that free strategy session because that is key to figuring out like are we a right fit for each other? Am I the coach for you? And then through that, I also I do a lot of events. So I co-host a women's wellness summit twice a year. And I do other events like lunch and learns. And so lots of different ways to kind of get out in the community, let people know this is what I do, and talk about it and share my services.
What are you reading right now in order to, um, I don't know, it could be subject based, it could be mindset based for yourself.
Hmm.
I know I really love enjoying this in the car recently, really been meditating on the chapters of desire and faith.
Nice.
Yeah, because I guess without a burning desire, and I was just speaking to somebody about the whole essence of burning desire. If you have the burning desire, you'll go deep.
Hmm.
If it's a fleeting liking to something, well, I don't think that that's enough to keep you sustained
Right.
and things. So I always come back to this book. Like, are you reading anything now? Is there any? Yeah, and if so, what's the golden nuggets that you'd like to share?
So I did, as a matter of fact, mine's right here too. I
Mm,
did come across at a conference that I was one of the coaches at. There's a speaker and author, Amina El Tai. I'm gonna pull her book.
okay.
And it's called, there it is, called The Ambition Trap.
Yeah, just sorry,
And
just hold that for a second. I wanna
yeah,
take a quick pitch. So let me take a quick snap of that. The ambition trap. 1 second. Lovely. Yeah, cool. Yeah,
and so
and
yeah,
tell me
so
a bit about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I heard her speak at a conference where I had been hired to do some coaching services for the participants. And she and I really aligned on a lot of our philosophies. So in her book, she's talking about how ambition in and of itself, like if it's not for something that is in line with your values, like you're just being ambitious just to be ambitious because that's the expectation, like you're supposed to want XYZ. So you need to drive for that, then that becomes that trap, right? Because you're never
Mhm.
going to have enough. Versus when when your ambition is lining up with your values and what it is you actually really want out of life, then it's much more powerful. And I do a lot of talk around, and I work with my clients, especially because they are neurodivergent, on really normalizing this idea that success does not look the same for everyone, and that's okay. And we need to normalize that. Not everyone needs to want to have the big house, the corporate job, the six figures, and that's not what everyone should be going for if that's not what's in line with your values. Now, obviously, if that's what you really want and aligns with your values and who you are, cool, let's go for it. But success can also
Mm.
be I live, by the beach in a little studio apartment and I sing in a bar every night and that's how I make my money and pay my bills. That is amazing. Are you happy? Does it line up with your values? Do you have a
Good.
good life balance? Then you are
Yeah,
successful. So her book really, it was great because when I met her and I heard her speak, I'm like, oh my gosh, we align so much on this idea. And so she talks more specifically and breaks that down in her book.
great. How do you want to be remembered?
That's a big question. I would like to be remembered as somebody who did their best to help other people be their best, like to support other people.
Okay.
The whole mission that I built my company around is helping people live their best lives while
Hmm.
making the world a more inclusive place. And so I think it would be great if I can be remembered as the person that followed through on that mission and somehow was able to like impact people to where they could live their best lives.
And what's the biggest challenge as an entrepreneur in 2026 are you finding? Is it overwhelm or noise or like gaining trust? Like whatever it is, like what are you finding it is? What's it for you?
I definitely think one of the biggest challenges in 2026, especially, is how do I reach through, go past what everyone else is saying? How do you kind of let your message stand out and so that people can find you? And because once people kind of find me and connect with me, I feel like because of the experience that I have and just kind of who I am as a person, I can help kind of work them through that, like, hey, this is a warm, nurturing process.
Yeah.
Every relationship is important, but like, how do we get to that spot is definitely harder. And it really is, how do you make yourself how do you let people connect with you when they don't know you yet, right? How do you build that relationship and kind of that emotional warmth with people? And especially in this age of AI, where people can trust that, oh, this is actually what Kimberly is saying and thinking, and not what some AI bot put together that she threw up there. So I think those are the things that are going to help people really stand out, is how do I stay true to my authentic self in the spaces where I am?
Wow. I love your energy, Kimberly. You're doing amazing work and you're continually developing, and it's a pleasure to connect from one teacher to another. I taught high school for 10 years, actually.
Lovely. Thank
Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the high school, which subject in high school? That's always fun.
Economics and business.
Okay. Yep. I taught high school English for my teaching 6 years
Oh,
of my
wow. Okay.
teaching
And
career.
what
Yeah.
made you move over to special needs?
Well, I always was I started out in special education. And so even when I taught high school English, even though I was dual licensed, so here in the in the state where I was teaching, like, you could have a license to teach more than one population. And so I was licensed to teach English for secondary, but then also special education. And so I would have English classes that were a mix of students with IEPs, like that had disabilities, and a mix of students that did not. And it would be like, so no one in the class, it wasn't like it was identified like, oh, you have ADHD and you don't. It was
Yeah.
just, 25 students at a pop, 28 students at a pop. And we did high school English, mostly freshmen. So yeah, it was great.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. Thank you for hopping on today. Let them know how they can get in contact with you and who specifically you're looking to serve.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me easily at my website, which is www.kfreyconsulting.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, just Kimberly Frey. And then I also have my Instagram, which is at Kimberly Frey Coaching. And clients, individuals, if you're an adult who's a late diagnosed adult with either autism or ADHD and you're looking for support, kind of figuring out what that means for you, that's who I'm looking for. Or if you are a business or an organization that's like, hey, we need somebody to come speak to our people about this and support them, that's what I love to do for businesses. So I do a lot of like speaking and workshops and professional development, panel discussions and things like that.
Is a woman of many talents. I love it.
Thank you.
She leads, she sells. Kimberly Frey in the building. We out.